to begin and what to do, and I'm your servant.
Okay, you're welcome once again. My god brothers, His Grace Sahadev Prabhu will be the one doing the hosting. I'm just setting up the YouTube. So Sahadev Prabhu, it's over to you now.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees, please accept the humble obeisances.
Where are you located? Where are you?
Myself?
Yeah.
Yes.
I am in Pennsylvania.
I thought so. Yeah. Gitanagri.
Close to, yes.
Yeah. My good friend Sarvatma is there, one of my best friends.
Yes, Sarvatma, yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes. It's a street devotee.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very good. Okay.
So, dear devotees, we are very much fortunate today. We have His Grace, Brahma-TIRTHA Prabhu. For most people, it's easier to understand him by perfect questions, perfect answers. That is the easiest way to remember him. So Prabhuji has been on our platform quite a number of times. So he is our own revered uncle, and he needs no further introduction. And Prabhuji, we can't thank you enough for always coming in to speak with us, to share with us your love and devotion and affection. So we are very much grateful for that. And today also you are here, and it's a very nice chapter we are discussing in the SRIMAD BHAGAVATAM. And it's very interesting that you are here to speak on this text. I'm very eager to see how you're going to handle it, because I don't think I've ever come across a text like this before. Text 2 through 7, and they are very, very heavily loaded. So without further ado, Prabhu will put the verse on the screen, and then you take it over from here. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Let me ask everyone who's here. I realize this is simulcast on YouTube, so I don't see the people on YouTube. But those who are on Zoom, if it's convenient for you, put on your camera so I can see you. If it's not convenient, I may understand that. Some people might still be in their underwear for all I know. Who knows? But if it is convenient, let me see you. I like seeing you. I like knowing who's here. If everyone's here, even if you can't put on your camera, you can tell me your name and where you're located. I would appreciate that. I like to know, I like to interact with my actual audience, not my perception of the audience. So let's go, let everyone just go around the room and say your name and say where you are.
Okay, I take it from, I take it here, Sahadev, as, if you permit me. Yeah, my name is Salika Das. Based here in Nigeria, in the north central part of Nigeria. I'm serving in ISKCON Jos specifically.
Okay, very good. One of the few continents I've never made it to visit, Africa, but Krishna will bless me sometime. Let's go on. Who else is here? Tell me somebody. I'll let my host just point out people. Tell me their name and where you are.
Okay, so we have Miss Gail. Miss Gail, would you be able to unmute? And
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Okay.
Hare Krishna. I know Gail. I know Gail.
Yes, you do.
I do know Gail. She's one of the best listeners at Bhagavatam classes. She has the ability to really listen deeply. That's Gail.
Yes.
Well, you make it easy, Prabhu, because you know you don't see me laughing most of the time, but I'm always cracking. You can just assume that I'm always cracking up at each and every one of your jokes.
Oh, very good. It's somebody who gets my jokes. They're my favorite fan club. Okay. Who else we have?
And then Loka Devi.
Where is Loka?
Loka Devi is my wife.
Oh, okay. So I know where she is. Okay.
Here too. And then we have Krishna Mai. Krishna Mai, can you please unmute and speak? And if possible, turn on your camera.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
My humble obeisance.
Where are you?
Joining from State College, Pennsylvania.
Oh, okay. Not very good. You have a center in State College?
Yes, we have a Bhakti Yoga Center across from the campus, and also we do programs at our house. So my husband's also around here. He's listening.
And where are you from originally?
From Poland.
Very good. So my grandparents.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Okay. Very good. Okay. And who else?
Can I just interject?
Yes.
Can I just interject that my daughter just arrived in Poland today because she's going to be participating in the Jajuna Maharaja's Polish festival.
Oh,
Yeah,
wonderful.
like last year. Yeah, last year was her first year. This year she's doing it again.
What a special opportunity. Indraduna he just, of course, finished Sadhu Sangha, and he is extremely empowered. He is a radical personalist. And
Yeah, yes.
he understands how to relate to people personally and wins their hearts over. I'll tell a story about him later. Okay, go on.
and then we have Govinda Prabhu. Govinda, can you unmute and if possible turn on? Yeah, your camera is already on.
Where are you, Govinda?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu, please accept my respectful obeisances.
Where are you located?
You, Dr. Srila Prabhupada. I live in Columbus, Ohio.
Oh, Malati country. Yeah. I've been to Columbus many times.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a nice town. So you're at a very nice temple there. I know some of the leaders.
Very nice temple, beautiful
And where are you
devotees.
from originally? You're not from Columbus, I'm guessing.
Yes, I'm originally from Ghana.
Ghana, okay.
Ghana, and I joined the movement in 1984.
Oh,
And,
early days.
one of the disciples of Bhakti Swami Maharaj.
And you must have known Brahmananda was preaching in Africa then.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Well, this is wonderful. When Prabhupada went to Africa, he was very upset with the devotees. He said, "You're just preaching to the Indians. We are here these Africans are so happy. We're there to make them devotees." Yeah, because Prabhupada was very pleased because Africans they just had a natural understanding of concepts like reincarnation and that there are demigods and higher. They all know this. So why are you wasting your time with the Indians? The Indians are supposed to be helping us. We're ministering to the Africans. So you're one of the pioneers. So my respects to you. So who else do we have?
And then thank you, Prabhuji. We have Shriman Varaha Prabhu. Prabhuji, Shriman Varaha Prabhu.
He's it looks like you're in a car. Where are you located?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. I am in Togo, and I'm at the spot where we're distributing food right now. We're doing Food for Life.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah, so maybe you can have a glimpse of the picture of the distribution.
Yeah, Togo is one of the peaceful places in Africa.
Sure.
A peaceful place.
Can you see this?
Yeah.
Can you see what is
Very
going on?
good. Congratulations. Can you put some of the prasadam in the chat for me?
Yeah, of course. I can always send that. Every
Put
day we
something
do
in the
this.
chat. I'm a little hungry today. Okay.
Okay, Mara. Okay, Prabhu.
Very good. Okay. Who else we have?
We have Shuddha Bhakti.
Sudha Bhakti. Tell me where you are.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, please offer my respectful obeisance.
Hi. Where are you?
From Ghana.
Okay. Also
I'm
Ghana?
from Ghana.
Very good.
Yes, Prabhuji.
What's the native language in Ghana?
Chi.
Chi. And which European language is spoken there? Is it English or French?
We speak Chi. English, yeah.
English, I thought so.
Yeah, the official language is English.
Official, but then there's
Yeah.
a native language. Yeah. I know Perfect Questions came out a few years ago in Swahili.
Wow, that's
Copy.
good.
And then it came out in one South African language that the language is spoken by clicking sounds. I don't remember the name of the language, but it is a very poetic language.
African.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, and who else we have? We have Giridhari Puja. You're
And then
always,
we have Giridhari Puja, yes.
yeah, she helps organize all these things.
Yes, probably, yes.
Yeah. Giridhari Puja, where are you located? Okay, she's still muted. Okay.
Giridhari Puja is in Europe as we speak. She's in Europe now.
Okay. Who have I missed on the Zoom? I know on YouTube there's others, but
And we have Mother Sunita. Sunita Devi.
Sunita, where are you? I don't see. Okay.
Sunita is the wife of Govinda Prabhu.
Ah, okay.
So,
Okay. Oh, we don't say wife, we say better half. I'm quoting
Better half. Yes,
Prabhupada said that. He
Okay.
sent a letter to Prafula Mukhi in New York in the 70s, said, you are the better half. And she put it right on the refrigerator so her husband would always see it.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. That was a very valuable letter for her.
Okay.
Okay, so we'll begin now.
And
Thank
then we
you.
have Yashoda Devi.
Where's Yasoda Devi?
Yashoda Devi, can you unmute and speak? Is it possible?
Yeah, Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
I lost my voice. I don't think I can say much. So I'm
That's
listening.
okay. I also have a voice made for newspaper. So, and a face made for radio. That's just me. So where are you located?
Yashoda Devi is in Giranagri.
Okay, so she's with my friends, Sarvatma and Divyananda.
Yeah.
Yeah, my wife speaks to Divyananda 7 days a week. Divyananda took initiation in my house in the 80s. So we go way back. Okay, with that, we'll begin. Thank you very much. I like knowing who I'm speaking to because all of you are doing amazing pioneering work. I mean, you're in Africa and in Pennsylvania and Europe, and it's very inspirational for me personally to see devotees all over the world just united. You know, we may be different genders and different races and different nationalities, but none of that makes a difference because the commonality is we're all servants of Krishna. And that's the only peace formula for the world. The world is very unpeaceful nowadays. I mean, Putin is fighting Ukraine and there's revolutions and difficulties. In America, our politics are absolutely mad. They're maddening to see. Just one horrible person after another. And, you know, I say it's the evil of two lessers. You know, we say the lesser of two evils, but it's the evil of two lessers because in Kali Yuga, people are losing character, good quality characters there. And Prabhupada wanted to train us to build up good character. See such nice Prabhus all over the world. It's extremely inspirational for me personally. And when I get every month or two to give a class based out of Africa, it's really special for me. I rarely, you know, I don't travel much nowadays. And now by Zoom, I go everywhere. So I was just giving a class last month in Siberia and now Africa. And I have no jet lag whatsoever. So this is very good. Okay, we'll begin. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. We're in the second canto, and we just finished the Lord in the Heart. And now we're moving up to pure devotional service. That is one of the most important verses in the Bhagavatam. This is a very long verse, and I'm not even going to try to chant the Sanskrit or read it all, because if I just read it all, everyone will simply fall asleep, including me. And once I was at a class, and I actually witnessed the speaker falling asleep, and I never want to have that happen to me, but that really happened. It was going, and Krishna is, and they paused, and it was the most profound statement I thought would be coming, till I realized everyone was asleep. I was standing, so I wasn't. And the sannyasi's dandas had fallen to the ground, and everyone was nodded out, and then the speaker himself fell asleep. So I always said, never again. I want to avoid that. So my goal of a class is everyone just stay awake. But I'll just chant the very first part here. Brahma vicharsa kamastu yajeta brahman patim indraman indriya kamastu praja kama prajapatin. And these verses lead up to a very important verse. So one who desires to be absorbed in the impersonal Brahma Yoti should worship Lord Brahma. One who desires powerful sex should worship the heavenly king Indra. And one who wants good children should worship the Prajapatis. You want good fortune, Durga Dev, and it goes on who you should worship to obtain various material boons, for the most part. If you want to be beautiful, you should worship the Gandharvas. You want a good wife, yes. Apsaras and the Urvasi society girls. And even if you want fame, you have to worship the personality of Godhead. You want a good bank balance, and who doesn't? Varuna. So these, Prabhupada says in the purport, these are different modes of worship for different persons desiring success in particular subjects. The conditioned soul living within the purview of the material world cannot be an expert in every type of material asset, but one can have considerable influence over a particular matter by worshiping a particular demigod. And Prabhupada talked about how Ravana was powerful by worshiping Shiva, and until he challenged Lord Ramachandra. But basically, Prabhupada's conclusion is these are for the less intelligent. Those who are bereft of all good sense, whose intelligence is diluted by Maya, aspire to achieve all sorts of material enjoyment. The real problem of life in the material world is to solve the question of birth, death, old age, and disease. So one time this magician came, and in Vrindavan, and he's doing all these tricks on Prabhupada, making a coin appear out of his ear, and all kinds of tricks, a good magician. And Brahmananda was very upset. He said, look, he said he wanted to throw him out. He's thinking, you can't make fun of my guru. And Prabhupada saw the expression on Brahmananda's face and motioned, it's okay, it's okay. So Prabhupada let the magician go on for a while and do this trick and that trick out of it. The devotees were getting very mad. You can't do this to our guru. But Prabhupada was enjoying the magic show, and Prabhupada had a purpose. And after the magician stopped, Prabhupada turned to him and said, would you like to see me do a trick? And the magician says, oh yes, what trick do you have? And Prabhupada says, I can end birth, death, old age, and disease. Can you do that? And then the magician shut up and had to listen. Yeah. So Prabhupada knew what he was doing. So to end these, but these problems are solved either by the grace of any demigod, in other words, worshiping demigods won't solve it, nor the advancement of material science. When I was first living in India, before I was a devotee, I was a high school teacher in a village. This is a very poor village. And I was a poor teacher. But I would go to the temples, the mosques, even the churches, and I would say, why are you here? I wanted to know, because I knew India had a deeper spirituality, but it wasn't there. It was missing. And why people would go, they treated the temples just like we treat Amazon. Do you have Amazon.com in Africa? Where you order online and the package comes to your house the next day? Do they have that in Africa?
I should think so.
Yeah, it's all over the world now.
Yeah.
So you go and you click, you give them your credit card, and the next day you get your gift, your product. You want a new toothbrush, you want whatever you want, it's delivered to your door. It's quite miraculous how that works. I recently drove by the nearest Amazon warehouse, and it went on for a half a mile, just the warehouse, a half a mile, pure warehouse. So that's what it was like when I went to temples in India in the 70s. They treated God like he was Amazon. How is that? Well, what do you do with Amazon? You give them some money and they give you a product. So people would go to the temple, they'd make some donation, they'd pray, now give me what I want. And if God didn't give it the next day, they become an atheist. I was very disappointed. I went all the way to India, had to suffer through what we used to call Delhi belly, dysentery, suffer all kinds of difficulties. I had no hot water, no running water most of the time, never hot water. It was cold where I was. I could never keep warm. It was very austere. I said, I came all the way here to find out the deeper secrets of the Gita, and all I can find is the same mundane life in the West. I was very disappointed. Then I was in Calcutta, and I saw a sign, Hare Krishna Festival, 1971. And so I took a trolley there. While I'm on the trolley, I had a pocket watch, one of the few possessions I own, and some pickpockets trying to steal it. I had to grab him by the collar and grab back my watch. I said, what kind of place is this? Why did I even come to India? Oh, what is waste of my time? And then I went to this festival, and there was Giriraj, then Brahmachari, speaking. And his talk, which I still remember to this day, was so brilliant, so philosophically sound. It struck me. I said, now I know why I came to India. There is greater knowledge. And it's not like we didn't come here just to like most people were doing, just to get something from God. They were all businessmen. Prabhupada said to me, these people are just businessmen trying to do business with God. Not very impressive. So herein, Sukadeva Goswami speaking to Maharaj Parikshit is describing how you can get all your material opulences by approaching the demigods. He's saying, what a waste of time. Death is inevitable, Prabhupada says, for everyone, intelligent or foolish. But Parikshit has been addressed by the Goswami as the Manasi, or the man of highly developed mind, because at the time of death, he left all material enjoyment, surrendered unto the feet of the Lord by hearing his message from the right person, Sukadeva. So, intelligent persons should try to avoid these aspirations, in other words, seeking benefit from demigods and all, and return back to Godhead. There's one temple in America. I won't name the temple. But in order to raise money, they offer pujas. So if and they have an Indian congregation. So they're appealing to the lower instincts of Indians. Indians have both high instincts and low instincts. So they say that when you buy a new car, you give us $100 and we'll come and put a blessing on the car. And it's kind of silly. It's just trying to approach the demigods for some blessings. So there's a verse, a few verses ahead. That's the key verse of this chapter. So I'm going to read it. Kama sarvo kamava moksha kama udaradi tivirena bhakti yogena yajayati purusham param. A person who has broader intelligence. These words are so critical. Whether he be full of all material desire or without any material desire or desiring liberation, must by all means worship the supreme whole, the personality of Godhead. That's the essence of this chapter. So let me ask you, do any of you have all material desires or free of all material desires? You can raise your hand. Those who are free of all material desires, raise your hand. Those who have all material desires, raise your hand. Nobody raising their hand. That's okay. So, but all of you have some material desires, and all of you, because you're engaged in devotional service, are free of material desires. It doesn't make a difference. And that's very important psychologically. Many times devotees feel, because I have material desires, I'm a failure. Now, Prabhupada said over 150 times, I personally counted going through the Veda base, said a statement that's very applicable to this verse. And what he said is Krishna consciousness is a gradual process, meaning it doesn't take place overnight. Of course, somebody can get enlightened in one moment, but for most of us, we have to work at it. When we get initiated, we think, now I'm perfect. So many devotees I see get initiated, and immediately they have spiritual trouble because they get proud. The word initiation literally means beginning. Initiate. I initiate a class. I'm beginning. Initiation means the beginning of spiritual life, not the end. It means I'm serious about it, but I'm beginning a process. So if you have all material desires and no material desires, you do the same thing. Therefore, if you have material desires, don't feel horrible about it. Just be aware of it. Oh, I have material desires. That's okay, because by taking up Krishna consciousness, I'm gradually rising above it. Sometimes I've seen devotees think, oh, I have material desires, therefore I give up. No, you're normal. Sometimes people don't understand how normal Prabhupada was. I'll tell you some stories how normal Prabhupada was. When Prabhupada came to America, many of you know this, he was very lonely. He had no followers, no disciples, no money. He would just stay at this person's or that person's place. He'd have to share a refrigerator with cat food, fish and chicken and things. And it was very austere. He had crazy people yell at him. It was very difficult. And every week he would go to the harbor and he'd see the ticket master. And he would say to the ticket master, when's the next boat back to India? And he would tell him. Finally, the ticket master said to Prabhupada, every week you're coming and asking, but you're never going. Why are you doing that? And Prabhupada said, I just wanted to know that there's a boat going back to India. It gave him solace. It was so difficult. Prabhupada was very human. He wasn't superhuman. He was super Krishna conscious. Very human. One time, Bhakti True Swami, he was a very, very sensitive person. Some of you may know the wonderful late Bhakti True Swami. I knew him very well. He was serving Prabhupada. And Prabhupada rang the bell in India, bring me some orange juice. So in America, you just go to the refrigerator and you pour some orange juice. But in India, it's not like that. You have to go to the market. You have to buy the oranges. You have to bargain with the orange. You have to bring it back. You have to wash them. You have to squeeze them, etc. Took a long time to get the orange juice. So then Bhakti Swami pours it in a cup, brings it into Prabhupada. And Prabhupada says, too late, I don't want it anymore. You took too long. And then Bhakti Swami, very sensitive, had this horrible, forlorn look on his face. Oh my God, what did I do? What did I do? And he just stood there. He was frozen. Finally, Prabhupada, after a while, said, okay, I'll take it. He took the orange juice. Later, he rings the bell, and Bhakti Swami comes back in. He told me the story personally. He comes back in, and Prabhupada says, oh, don't be upset. Old men get grouchy. Jagadish was Prabhupada's secretary. And Prabhupada said, move my bed from one side of the room to the other. And then Jagadish says, I'll get someone to help me. It's a heavy bed. He said, no, just do it yourself. So Prabhupada went back in his office. Jagadish is dragging the bed because he's just one person. He can't lift it up. And the bed's making a lot of noises as he's dragging it. All these noises. And then Prabhupada rings a bell and he goes, why are you disturbing me? And Jagadish was so upset. He asked me to do this. He said, do it alone. I'm doing it. Now he's disturbed. What did I do? Later, Prabhupada rings the bell and Jagadish goes back in the room. Jagadish told me the story again personally. And Prabhupada said, oh, don't worry. Old men get grouchy. So Prabhupada was very human and very Krishna conscious all at the same time. We have to be very careful with Prabhupada. We don't give up his humanity because of his Krishna consciousness, and we don't ignore his Krishna consciousness because of his humanity. It's both. I was giving a class in New York one time, and this young, a professor was coming to 26 Second Avenue. Very nice professor. In fact, she was just spent the night with her husband at my house last night. Well, this was like 20 years ago, and I was in New York giving a class. And I told the same stories I told now. And I saw this Bhaktin was in the back of the class crying. And I said, oh no, I'm at 26 Second Avenue. And I'm telling stories about Prabhupada being human. And one of the new Bhaktas is crying. They're going to kill me, this temple. They'll never allow me to come again. I'm finished. I said, what did I do? Oh no, what did I do? Later, I went to her. I said, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to make you cry like this. Inappropriate of me to speak this way. She goes, no, now I can surrender to Krishna. I couldn't surrender to Prabhupada who wasn't human. Now that Prabhupada's human, I can surrender to him. And she became a devotee. So all of you are human. All of you have your ups and downs, your strengths, your weaknesses. I have my strengths and weaknesses. By being honest, as we say in the Upadeshamrita, revealing one's mind in confidence, listening in confidence, by doing, giving, receiving prasadam, giving, receiving gifts, doing those things that Rupa Goswami has instructed us to do. Leave it open. Doing those things, it gives us the chance to be human. And then if we have all material desires or without any material desire, we still do the same thing. We worship Krishna and we make our gradual progress. That's the point being made in this class. At this point, I'm going to pause and see if there are any questions on the Pure Devotional Service chapter. Gail.
Yes.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, I'm chomping at the bit to ask this question, actually. How do we actually reconcile the humanity of pure devotees with their Krishna consciousness? Because when a person is Krishna conscious, I think the popular conception is that they are so detached from their material propensities that they would not be influenced by such things. And so when we hear these stories like you told today, which I also heard directly from Bhakti Swami, the orange juice one, and a few others, he told that story at 2nd Avenue. So when we hear such stories, how do we actually reconcile their?
I like that question. First, Gail, I have a question for you. Did I tell the orange juice story correctly?
Yes, you did.
I want to make sure. To err is human.
Yeah, and I also even wonder how Bhakti Swami was able to, because most people, they go so much out of their way, and then to get chastised like that, rather than thinking, what did I do? We would think, how could you be so ungrateful? So these are the kind of things that I'm wondering here. Right?
Yeah, Gail, it's a very appropriate question, and I'm glad that you're brave enough to ask that, because a lot of people wouldn't be brave enough to ask that. So I applaud you. I'll tell a story. It's on my mind because I had a very nice conversation with Radhanath Swami yesterday. And we had some things to talk about, but I was recollecting maybe 6, 7 years ago, we were at a retreat together on Long Island run by Yogeshwar Prabhu. And it was a 2.5-day retreat. And the second day, Radhanath Swami said, let's play hooky. So we snuck away from the retreat. He had already spoken, and so let's get away a little bit. And there's a beautiful park. This took place in beautiful, acres and acres of gardens. It was just like a place, you might say a heavenly place. And we went for a 5-hour walk, just the two of us to talk. And he wanted to answer that question you're asking. He had something on his mind, and he knew I'd appreciate it. So he shared it with me. I felt very privileged to be part of it. And he said to me this: every day, so many people, I used to live in Vrindavan and then New Vrindavan, very simple. In the morning, I'd break the ice on the bucket of water, pour it over me and take my bath, do my pujari work. Happiest time of my life, very simple. Then somehow I became a guru, and somehow all these disciples. And every day, all these people are saying, worshiping me and saying all these wonderful things about me. Oh, Guru Maharaj, blah, blah, blah. And he said, every single day, 365 days a year, I have to go remind myself it's not true and that I'm the humble servant. I have to every day take a bath in these words so it doesn't go to my head. So the really advanced devotee doesn't see himself as the advanced himself or herself. A lot of times the women are way more advanced than a lot of the men. Doesn't see themselves as very advanced. They see themselves as the humble servant. So when Bhakti Charu or Jagadish or whoever is chastised, they see it as a special mercy, because in their own heart, they know they have their false ego. And somehow Krishna has arranged for Prabhupada to pierce their false ego, even if it seems unfair. How about I tell you another story that might explain this?
Please.
So I joined it's a personal story, and I might have shared this before on here. So if I'm repeating it, I'm sorry. I don't tell the story very often, so I probably didn't. But if I did, I'm sorry to repeat. It's a very personal story. Of course, I was the only guest at the first Mayapur festival. There was 70 devotees and one English-speaking guest. There were no buildings, just a grass hut for Prabhupada. And everyone was much younger than all of you. The average age was probably 22. I think everyone on here is older than 22, probably 2 or 3 times more than that. So everyone was very enthusiastic to preach. And when people are enthusiastic to preach, zealous is the word, and there's one person to preach to, you can imagine what it's like for that one person. Poor me. Anyway, one devotee gave me a lecture on, I had just a head cold, very minor. So I was taking the normal over-the-counter medicine you get at any pharmacy. And one devotee preached to me for 20 minutes how I was in Maya. By taking this medicine, I should be taking Ayurveda, and all of this is evil. And then the next devotee walks up to me and says, I heard you have some cold medicine. Can you share some with me? I mean, so Prabhupada kept me in his hut all day with him to protect me. Because in those days in India, it was rare to see, you had devotees and hippies. It was very rare to see a Westerner who wasn't a hippie. So I was a rarity. So Prabhupada kept me with him. And then when we got back to New York, Prabhupada gave me a little special mercy. I went to graduate school. That was very unusual. But I had a Krishna yoga club. I was helping out the temple. I was doing a lot, but I'd gotten married. I was engaged before I went to India. I've been married 51 years, and my wife's an incredible devotee. I mean, super incredible. But she wasn't a devotee then. But I knew in her heart that was her inclination. So I didn't get initiated right away. I was chanting, following. That wasn't an issue. The issue was I wanted to do it when she was ready, not to discourage her. And she was encouraging me to get initiated. But some of the devotees at the temple, in their very enthusiastic way, were telling me what Maya I was in. You know, Prabhu, you're in big Maya. You're not initiated yet. Everyone's initiated in 6 months. Something's wrong with you. What's wrong with you? Now, other devotees were very nice to me. Gopal Krishna was a grahasta then. He was wonderful to me. Keep me at his house. We have lunch together all the time. He was wonderful. And others were wonderful. And some were less than wonderful. And then I started getting depressed. I started thinking there really is something wrong with me. I'm really in Maya. What's wrong with me? And then Prabhupada came to New York. And when he would come, I would even pick him up at the airport, and I'd have some relation. This time I said, I don't want Prabhupada to see my face. It's not a face that a pure devotee should ever have to see. Some of you may have felt that way at times. And then I was thinking, oh, Prabhupada should never see my face. So I was in the hallway at Henry Street Temple, and Prabhupada was about to walk around the corner, walk down the hallway, and then turn into the temple room door. So first I saw the dandas coming from his sannyasis. So I knew Prabhupada was coming. So immediately I offered obeisances in the corner of the hallway where Prabhupada wouldn't see me. And I said the prayers very slow. Namah, Om, Vishnu, like that. So that by the time I finished the prayer, Prabhupada would be sitting on the Vyasasana. He wouldn't have to see my ridiculous face. And then I can sit in the doorway of the temple room and listen to class. But even though I was on the ground and my rear end was facing up, Prabhupada recognized me. And not only did he recognize me, he stopped walking and stood next to me 2 inches from where I was standing, 2 inches. And when I finished the prayers, I figured the footsteps stopped. Prabhupada was already in the temple room, I figured, and now I can sit in the doorway, and it was jam-packed, obviously. And Prabhupada was standing right there. And when I stood up, Prabhupada turns to me and says, so good to see you. And he did something he never does. He gave me a big hug. Prabhupada's society wasn't a hugging society. Now, Jayapataka Swami, he's a huge hugger. I used to call him my chiropractor, because before he had a stroke, whenever I'd see him, he'd give me this big hug, and I'd say, thank you, I've had my chiropractic adjustment for the day, because he was such a big hugger. But Prabhupada wasn't. So Prabhupada gave me this hug. And after that, I knew that what I was doing was right. That was Prabhupada's way, without saying 2 words to me, that what I was doing was the right thing, that I wasn't so horribly fallen, that I was just struggling like everyone else. Then another time I was in New Orleans and I walk in the temple room and Brahmananda is sitting next to Prabhupada. And I sit in back and Brahmananda motions to me, come forward. I'm thinking, oh, I must be blocking the doorway. So I move to the side and move up a little bit. And he motions to me again. Well, I'm not blocking anybody. So I move another few inches. Then he motions, finally says, come here. Oh, and Brahmananda would say, come here like that. Your subtle body gets there before your gross body. So what had happened is Prabhupada wanted me to sit at his feet. So I went, sat by Prabhupada's feet. I had no idea. And that happened another time. So that happened several times. So then it's time to get initiated. So I'm in New York, right after the big 1976 famous Ratha Yatra down Fifth Avenue. This is Prabhupada's crowning achievement, that the devotees would march down Fifth Avenue. HARE Krishna would organize it. It was brilliant in getting permission. Nobody could get permission in those days for a parade down Fifth Avenue in New York. You know, you stop all the traffic, everything, but he somehow got permission. He even got Donald Trump to agree to let the devotees use a vacant piece of property to stage the cart and set it up. It's the only pious thing Donald Trump has ever done in his life, but he did that one thing. So, and then next day, I get initiated. Prabhupada wasn't there. He wasn't feeling well. And then the day after, I'm there for Guru Puja, and Prabhupada's there, and he's giving out cookies. So I'm thinking, oh, Prabhupada will be so happy to see me. Look, he gave me a hug. He had me go sit next to him a few times, blah, blah, blah. I'm really important. I'm very important. And so I went up and to get the cookie, and I was thinking Prabhupada would recognize me and say something. Oh, now you're a Brahma-TIRTHA, not Peace Corps Bob anymore. That's what they used to call me. I was never a Bhakta Bob. I was thinking Prabhupada would be so happy to see me. I was quite proud. And then Prabhupada looked at me as if I was a clear piece of glass. And he looked right through me as if I didn't even exist. And I knew from that look that Prabhupada was conquering my pride, because I'd become very proud at that moment. Oh, now I'm initiated. Now I'm a big shot. Oh, so important am I. And Prabhupada just, by one glance, totally shot me down. I'll never forget that glance, because Prabhupada didn't, I was a clear piece of glass in front of him. Somehow I got the cookie. I don't even know how. And after that, I understood, ooh, my pride got to me. And fortunately, I got to see Prabhupada again in 77 at the Life Comes from Life conference. Then I had swallowed my pride. So to answer your question, Gail, all of us may have some pride in our heart, whoever it was, and Krishna arranges that pride breaks. Now, let's take Bhakti True Swami. Somehow I knew him so well and loved him so much, I never saw that pride in his heart. Maybe it was there and Prabhupada was breaking it with the orange juice, or maybe it wasn't there. And that's just a pastime that happened. So others, you, Gail, you and I can learn from that lesson. It doesn't make a difference. I don't have 4 arms. I can't crawl in his heart and say what he's thinking, but I can say that these things happen so you and I can tell this story and learn from it. So Prabhupada was gored by a bull before he came to America. Why was he gored by a bull? It's a very difficult question. Here we have this wonderful devotee, pure devotee, about to go to America, and a bull throws him in the air and hurts him. And part of it, I understand, is just Prabhupada showed there are no material obstacles. Even if we get gored by a bull, we still go on and do our service. So sometimes these explanations may be a little hard to understand, but the Beatles put it very well. There will be an answer, let it be. And there is always an answer. Sometimes it just takes patience to get it. Gail, does that answer your question?
Yeah, partially. You know, I
Well,
was
that's
still,
better than not partially.
no, at the very last moment, you know, this question about how is it that a pure devotee can experience something like sadness, like, you know, that sadness that inspired Srila Prabhupada to keep seeing if there was going to be a way to get back to India, right? And so at the last moment, I was thinking, well, maybe what it is just like when the Pandavas or Devaki would experience deep tragedies. It's not that their suffering was exactly the same as ours, because ours is impelled by the modes. You know, maybe Srila Prabhupada's sadness was impelled by Krishna's internal potency. So although it looked the same as our suffering on superficially, maybe his suffering was actually an ecstasy that we're not able to comprehend from our consciousness, something like that.
There's some truth to what you're saying, and it's difficult to understand the mind of somebody more advanced than us. That's why on that talk with Radhanath Swami, it was so remarkable for me. You know, what's it like being in that position? And you know, for hours he was revealing his mind. Why? I said, you know, why are you saying all this? He said, well, I have to tell this to someone I can trust. You know, how difficult it is. There are many austerities. Just because we take up devotional service, it doesn't mean that the waves of material energy don't stop. It means our attitude towards the waves is different. So a pure devotee is going to feel loneliness, happiness, sadness. He's going to feel the range of emotions. In fact, when we read the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, we see that in the ecstatic position, there's all these emotions. We see Lord Chaitanya in his Antya Leela pastime exhibited intense emotions, so intense, sometimes sadness, happiness, madness, all kinds of emotions. But the Antya Leela doesn't come first, it comes last, because you have to understand who Lord Chaitanya is and work its way up. Just like the intense emotions Krishna feels and the gopis feel and the cowherd boys feel in the 10th canto. We don't begin reading that. Now we do with Krishna book, because Prabhupada miraculously incorporated the first 9 cantos into Krishna book. So you get the essence in a miraculous way. But generally, you read the 9 cantos before you get into these intimate emotions. And along the way of reading the 9th, up to the 10th canto, halfway through, we hit a speed bump. You know what a speed bump is? Sometimes, you know, in roads, they'll put a bump to make you slow down. There are children playing whatever. They don't want you to go fast. So we have a speed bump in the Bhagavatam. Can somebody tell me which canto the speed bump is to make you slow down and think deeply and question everything?
Maybe the 5th canto, maybe?
5th canto is the speed bump. It's even in the conversations with Maharaja Shabbadev, it becomes clear this is a speed bump. It's intended to slow us down and make us think deeper so we can get ready to move on 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, and then get to the 10th canto. But halfway through, wait, slow down, think, go deep. Let me create some doubts. Let me mess with your mind a little bit so you go deeper. Paradoxes, contradictions, for apparent contradictions, I mean to say, force us to go deeper. So we are radical personalists, a phrase coined by the wonderful, amazing Ram Baru Dasi, radical personalists. So when we're personalists, it means we will feel our emotions, sadness, happiness, but at the same time, we're always transcendental. So Prabhupada could simultaneously, Achinta Beta Beta Tattva, be sad and Krishna conscious, lonely and Krishna conscious, happy and Krishna conscious. We're human. We're people. We're persons. We don't want to give up our personhood. If we want to give up our personhood, we can merge into the Brahma-Yoti and just be blissed out. And then eventually we'll fall back down to mundane charitable work because we get bored. I've been a devotee for half a century. I can honestly say to each and every one of you, I have not had one boring day. I want one. God, do I want a boring day? Well, I have nothing to do. I'd love one. But Krishna knows I have an active mind and I have to be engaged. You know, somehow my mind has to be engaged. So Krishna has blessed me with never a boring day as much as I want one. I say, I just can't remember one. I'll take one anytime, but it doesn't come. Okay, I hope that helps, Gail. I appreciate that you think about these things and ask appropriate questions. I do appreciate it a
Well,
lot.
I mean, I have so much more to say, but I can't be a hogger, so.
Well, let's see if there's others that we can come back to you. But we've been an hour, so we're probably almost done. And my voice tends to wear out pretty quickly. I've had 4 or 5 vocal cord surgeries. There's an issue, so my voice does wear out. But let's go on. Are there any other questions, comments? Is there anything in the YouTube chat? I can turn it on and see. I think I can click. Is there any questions in the YouTube chat or Facebook, wherever we are?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yeah.
I'm happy, very much happy with what you've shared with us so far. There is one very, I won't mention the name, very advanced devotee, who one time saw the behavior of a guru, and it was a little baffling to this devotee. And so luckily, this devotee spoke to His Holiness Ratnath Swami Maharaj. And Ratnath Swami Maharaj told this devotee that, please do not forget about the human aspect of the guru. So it's just like the same thing you're saying, that sometimes some of us as devotees begin to think that the very moment one becomes a guru, then that person should no more have any sort of material feelings anymore. It's like he becomes a robot, like he does not have any material feeling. And my argument has always been that if that is the case, then the guru should not eat. The guru should not sleep. The guru should not, excuse me to say, take shower. But these are all material demands that one needs to fulfill, and fulfilling them does not make the individual any inferior than who he or she truly is. So I'm very much thankful for the explanation you gave, but I have one question with diverse angles to the question, and I have carefully and meticulously kept it for you.
Okay, oh my.
Yes, and not for anybody else. And it is because I followed you a couple times online, and I didn't know until that time that you are very much into Vedic cosmology. And there has been this question amongst at least some of us on this particular platform, where some devotees say that even though this universe is just one of the unlimited universes coming out of the force of Mahavishnu. And in this particular universe, there are so many even uncountable planets within this universe. And if that is the case, how do some devotees say that apart from this particular Earth planet with these 6 continents, any other planet a living entity lives on does not create karma? And so I saved this question for you, that Prabhuji, please help us understand.
Okay.
Does the living entity create karma wherever he finds himself in the human form in this material universe, or only on this earth planet?
Even a demigod makes karma.
Wonderful.
Even a demigod will make karma. I mean, look at Indra. He attacked Krishna with the Samvatarka cloud at Govardhan Hill. I mean, even Indra was doing karmic things. And so as long as we're in this material creation, the law of karma doesn't stop. It's always there. There are innumerable universes. One time, Tamal Krishna Maharaj, young devotee, was temple commander in Los Angeles. And he had become, he was one of the most amazing, wonderful devotees ever walked this planet. I mean, Prabhupada's most competent manager there ever was. It's a shame we lost him. But in those days, he got a little proud. So Prabhupada walked up to him and he said, you know, Tamal Krishna, there are millions of universes. And in these universes, each universe has so many planets. And on this planet, there are so many people, so many planets. And then we have this one Earth planet. And on the Earth planet, there are so many countries, so many cities. And in this one city, there are so many streets. And on this one street, there are so many buildings. And then in this one building, you're the temple commander and you think you're such a big shot. And he put it in that context. And Tamal Krishna Maharaj, he took that very seriously. He really learned his lesson of a certain humility. So Prabhupada was saying there are millions of universes, millions of planets. They're out there. But to say that only karma is among us, it's silly. The animals, how do they get there? By their karma. Now, they may not be accumulating karma, but they're burning karma. All of you have the ability to see past, present, and future. It's an ability. All of you have it. I'll give you an example. I'm walking down the street and I see some proud, pompous, rich man just cheating people like anything and making a lot of money and having his big limousine. I know his future. His future is terrible. I see some poor homeless person, no place to sleep, hardly anything to eat, maybe addicted to drugs, a very bad situation. I know their past. They were that rich man who was acting like a jerk. Now they're like this. Now, it doesn't mean I shouldn't have compassion to both of them. That's a different matter. But I can see when I see someone suffering, I know their past. When I see someone enjoying, I know their future. All of you can see past, present, and future. Just an ability you have to develop to see it in context. So there are so many universes, but there's karma everywhere. Karma is a law of cause and effect. Cause and effect is everywhere until we become timeless. When we get elevated to a spiritual platform, we lose. Time doesn't have any effect. Without time, then karma it becomes meaningless. Krishna says in the Gita, I am time. But time is relative. Even from material science, we see time is relative. This experiment has been done. You put the most precise watch on an astronaut and you send him around the International Space Station going 17,000 miles around the Earth for months at a time. When he comes back, his watch will read different than the identical watch that was stationary on Earth. It might be 1 second slower, but it will always, every time, consistently different. So even in quantum, in relativistic physics, time is not absolute. So time is an energy of Krishna. We understand that. The Bhagavatam looks at time much more circular than an arrow. And in the Vaikuntha, we get beyond time. There are events, but it's beyond time. So as long as we have time, we have karma. And no place in this world are we without time. Time moves differently. For Lord Brahma, a moment could be millions of years for us, but it's still time. There's time, there's karma. I hope that answers your question.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji. I had a chain of questions.
Go for another one.
If the answer to this first question had gone the other way, then I would have had series of chains of questions to try to probe further. But the first answer you gave shuts me off completely because that has been my understanding all along, and I'm grateful that
You're correct.
I have the good understanding.
The devotees like speculating. For example, at the Bhaktivedanta Institute, which I run, host, enable screen sharing, please, for me, if you can.
All right, I'll do.
At the Bhaktivedanta Institute, we look at these issues, and one of the books we're coming out with is the Earth flat? Because some devotees think the Earth is flat. And so we take it from Shastra, from Prabhupada's statements, from Surya Siddhanta, Puranic cosmology, even an airline pilot's view. And the Earth is a globe. Prabhupada said it, everyone said it. But some people come up with speculation, so we had to produce, it's in pre-press now, a 300-page book demonstrating it from every angle. So devotees...
You may share your screen now.
Okay. So I'll just show you the Bhaktivedanta Institute, which this is our headquarters in Gainesville.
Yeah.
And we have a large library and we do our research out of here. And we look at the issues you're asking. We try to do our thinking there. So Krishna arranged that house be donated to us. It used to be the president's house for the university. So Krishna, as we always say, Krishna is kind. Bhakta Hassan, it says, you have a question.
Please unmute, Bhakta Hassan.
Hare Krishna. Please accept my humble respect obeisances.
Mine to you, Hassan. Where are you located?
I'm in Texas now, in the US.
Oh, okay. Where you were at Sadhu Sangha?
No,
Oh,
actually, I was in Barcelona like 3 weeks ago.
Okay. Oh, very good. Okay, what's your question?
Please, my question is sometimes you find yourself asking Krishna a lot of questions, and some of the question is you ask Krishna, why didn't he make you why didn't he make you a devotee in your childhood so that you can serve him perfectly? And sometimes you broke down because when you look back at the other things that has happened before, you become very, very disturbed. And yesterday, there's this wonderful Maharaj who was giving these wonderful classes and do mention something like reachable, which inspires a lot. That means It doesn't matter where you come from or your age or anything, you can still reach Krishna. So sometimes you break down and you find yourself that you want to talk to Krishna. In this particular moment, I want to know what is the best way to communicate with Krishna if you want to talk to him. For instance, is it the best way to ask for the mercy of Krishna or to ask for Krishna to become a pure devotee or to become a servant of Krishna? Not in the way that you are commanding Krishna to do what you want, but you want to ask for his mercy because you really need it. This is my question. Hare Krishna.
It's a very deep question you're asking. And there's no one size fits all. Sometimes you buy a piece of clothing and they advertise one size fits all, but it doesn't apply here. We have a very personal relationship with Krishna. So somebody may be praying, oh, Krishna, help me with this. Or somebody may be praying for their relative even. Oh, my relative is sick. Oh, Krishna, can you give them some relief? I mean, we pray for a lot of things. So I asked Prabhupada a similar question. And Prabhupada quoted the verse, apichet tu darshara. Even if one commits most small activity, he's situated in devotional service, he's been considered saintly. Very bewildering verse, because you're either good or you're bad, in my mind. But this verse says you can be both. So the point Prabhupada made to me is it's always good to pray to Krishna. Because I asked Prabhupada, if somebody prays to Krishna for some material desire, isn't that even practically evil? And Prabhupada said, no, they're praying to Krishna. That's never evil when you're praying. So it's always good to pray, but there can be immature prayers. The immature prayer is, oh, Krishna, give me this, give me that. That's better than not praying. And then as we get more mature in devotional service, we start praying for what really counts. And the prayer that counts is, Krishna, how may I serve you? How may I get more seva? So as we mature, our prayers get deeper and deeper. But the point is, we should always be asking prayers. It's never a bad thing to be praying. When I was a child, maybe starting when I was 10 years old, I had an existential crisis. I couldn't, due to a physical difficulty, I couldn't participate with the other children in games. I had a disability such that I couldn't play ball or do things that other children would do. And it's when you're a child and you can't play with other children, it's very difficult. So I would go into the woods alone, because when I was with children, I felt I didn't fit in. And so it made it very difficult for me. So I'd go in the woods behind my house. And then I had one question to solve, and I wanted the answer. And I would have a conversation with God asking the answer. And the one question was this: how is it people are dying and nobody can really die? Because I knew nobody could ever die, but people are dying. And I couldn't figure it out. And I would spend hours and hours having a conversation. Now, there were better ways to get that answer, much better ways than just sitting there being bewildered. I could have read the Gita, I could have done this, which later I did. But that was all I knew. And because of those prayers and constant prayers, it gave me a connection with the Supreme, even though it was very immature and not very intelligent the way I approached it, but because it was some sincerity behind it. It opened my heart in such a way that when I met Prabhupada, I was ready to go deep with him. So whatever prayers you have, it's appropriate. And as time goes on, the prayers will get more and more mature and you'll get a better connection. Doesn't make a difference where you begin, just begin. Does that answer your question?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Yes, thank you.
I mean, it's a very nice question. And that is one I can, Dr. San, I can relate to personally. Just begin now. Yes, okay, Krishna, explain this to me. The best time I find is like in the morning when no one's around. I like going to the temple and just having a talk. Prabhupada said when they built Krishna Balaram, he said, when you have a problem, you should walk up to Krishna Balaram. This was in Vrindavan, he said it, and say to them, sirs, Krishna Balaram, you can address him as sirs. Sirs, I have a problem. And tell them the problem. He said, say that, sirs, I got a problem. There's always an answer. And sometimes we have to be patient for the answer. There's a song that helps us figure out the answer. I'll play it for you. It's when I get bewildered, sometimes I play this song because it helps, it helps me get the answer. Just one moment. Here it goes. This is the song I play. You all know it.
When I find myself in times of trouble, Mother Mary comes to me, speaking words of wisdom, let it be. And in my hour of darkness, she is standing right in front of me, speaking words of wisdom, let it be. Let it be, let it be, let it be, let it be. Whisper words of wisdom, let it be. And when the broken heart.
So that was obviously the Beatles. And Let It Be. And sometimes I get bewildered. What do I do? What does Krishna want? Do this or that. Sometimes I just play that song. What a devotee friend of mine, the Swami, said, sometimes you just have to play that song and understand. You have to just be patient and see what Krishna wants. And that gives me solace. So your struggle is a very proper Krishna conscious struggle. I'm glad you asked that. I hope my answer gives you some solace.
Yes, thank you so much. I'm very, very much very grateful. Thank you.
Okay, so sometimes we just got to let it be, and sometimes we have to be active. Anyway, I gave you a little musical interlude for all of you.
Hare Krishna, thank you so much, Prabhuji. Let it be. I've been very much afraid of statements like that. Let it be, because if I tell Krishna, okay, Krishna, may your will be done. No, that is like the greatest prayer in the Bible. Lord, thy will be done. And I'm very much afraid of asking Krishna that his will be done, even though his will is going to be done, but it's going to be difficult for me to say that to Krishna, because probably Krishna's will for me to become a very serious devotee is that I may have to lose something so dear to me. And I'm not ready to lose that dear thing. And so what I usually say is, Krishna, this is what I want. And if even it is not proper, could you please make it proper for me so that I can move on? I'm very much scared of, let it be. Govinda Prabhu, please you may unmute and then go ahead. This is just my fears and how I try to deal with my fears, like throwing everything in the hands of Krishna, that Krishna should handle it as he wishes. Because Krishna, like Chaitanya says, you may handle me roughly by embrace or make me brokenhearted. I'm not there yet. So I do not pray like that.
I hope he will address that. I hope he will address that. Because it's also my thing.
I'll address it right now.
Okay.
Show you. Here's how I address it. It's called the serenity prayer. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. So God, let me grant the serenity to accept things I cannot change. That's the let it be moment. The courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. That comes with spiritual maturity. So that's my guiding light, this serenity prayer. Because sometimes it's time, I don't want to be sitting doing nothing like a python when I'm supposed to be active. And I don't want to be active when I'm supposed to be like a python. So how do I know? Am I like a python just sitting waiting, or am I supposed to be active? Oh, there's a time that's right for one, a time right for the other. And by cultivating wisdom, we know the difference. And if we don't have the wisdom, which I often don't have, I consult with my mentors. Just yesterday, I was speaking to Radhanath Swami for some question. Should I do this or do that? They're two pressing things. So I discussed it with him, what to do, and it became clear what to do. So I discuss it with my mentors and ask them, let's try to figure out what to do. Sometimes Krishna doesn't want to give me any help. I have to go deep in myself and figure it out. So, but the serenity prayer, I find, is very helpful for me in that regard. Yeah. Just like if we read the 11th canto of the Bhagavatam, the story of the Avaduta Brahmin. The Avaduta means he had no rules or regulations. He just wandered around. And whoever he met, he learned a lesson from, be it Pingala, the prostitute, or the spider, or the wasp. Whoever he saw a lesson and learned something deep about Krishna. In modern language, we call that mindfulness. So it's very popular now, the term mindfulness. Even though the term may not be found in the Bhagavatam, the concept is all through the Bhagavatam, especially 11th canto, of how to be mindful. When we're mindful, we start seeing things in relation to Krishna. And it's a skill we develop over time. I'll give you an example. Just like if you go to a young doctor, he doesn't know what's wrong with you. But you go to an experienced doctor, they take one look at you. Oh, your eyes are a little yellow. This means this. Your skin looks this way. This means that. I one time had such a good doctor. Unfortunately, the doctor retired, but she'd take one look and she immediately understood what the problem was. So similarly, we have to develop that skill that in modern language, mindfulness, to see things in relation to Krishna. That doesn't happen instantly. It takes some time, but we cultivate it. What's the secret of cultivating it? I asked Prabhupada that. Would you like to know the inner secret of how you become more mindful? The inner secret. Because when I was in Mayapur, as I told you before, everyone was preaching to me. The most important thing is worshiping Tulsi. The most important thing is getting up early. The most important thing is chanting. The most important thing is offering your food. Everyone told me what they thought was the most important thing. But what was the most important thing? What one thing could I keep in mind so that I could get deeper understanding? So I asked Prabhupada. It's really simple. Sadhu Sangha. From that, everything else comes. Good association, everything else comes. So the secret is associate with people who inspire you, not because somebody wears a dhoti or has tilak or anything, but people who you trust, the T word, and who you can reveal your mind to, that you know they're confidential, you know you can trust. And by doing that, that's the number one way to make advancement. Everything else follows after that. And there are social psychology studies I could go into, maybe there's not time now, that actually back that up. Modern research backs up what the very simple statement that Prabhupada said to me. I hope that answers your question. I mean, some of these questions, each of them, they're so interesting questions. We could go on for hours about each one. So I'm just giving some little taste. It's just like sometimes you go to a big feast, but before the feast, they give you a little taste of everything. So this is just a little taste. It's only so much time. Any other last question?
Thank you so much. Pramila Prabhu, please give me a unmute.
Okay, Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Govinda.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu, please accept my respectful obeisances.
I
All glories
do.
to you. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Yeah, Prabhu, see, I have a question.
Tons of questions.
But before the question, I would like to thank you very much, and I would also like to take this opportunity to thank the disciples of Srila Prabhupada and Srila Prabhupada himself.
Okay.
I always feel that I'm so much indebted to Srila Prabhupada and his disciples, because if I do self-introspection of myself, it takes me far back to 19 years. I joined the movement when I was 19 years. And I know what I was doing at that time and the level of my consciousness. And tracing that from 19 years when I joined the movement till today, I can see the difference of then, the consciousness then and after. And it makes me always feel that if not because of Srila Prabhupada and his disciples, where would I have been? Where would I have been by now? And what would have been my consciousness? Right now, wherever I go, whoever I meet, no matter how high the person may be materially, if I open my mouth and try to speak Krishna consciousness, then this person would be quiet and listen to me. And who am I? It's all because of the mercy of Srila Prabhupada.
Absolutely.
I was a Christian, and most of us were Christians.
Yeah.
But then we know a little bit about God. We learned God is an old man with a big beard.
And an anger management problem.
Yes. And we did not know anything deeper than that. But by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada, now we are hearing things that is amazing about this God that we were serving or try to serve or claim that we know when we were Christians. Now, my question is, yesterday, Swayam Bhagavan Maharaj was giving class, and he was giving analysis of a box, and many spiritual practitioners are connected to this box. And the real thing is not a box, but what is within the contents in the box. There's a jewel in a box, and that is why, and that is the purpose of that box, is to contain the jewel. So Krishna is that jewel. And bhakti, which is devotional service, is a means to unlock the box and touch the jewel. And so that is one of the benefits of becoming a devotee of Lord Krishna, that you never lose anything. That even if you don't finish, just by becoming a bhakta, whatever you accrue, it will be there for you permanently. Now, my question is that of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu introduced to us the chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra and the benefit that comes along with it. Bhakti Charu Maharaj, I listened to him recently, and he was talking about the importance of the chanting and how merciful Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is. That he gave us this Mahamantra, that the denizens in the Vaikuntha Loka do not know that there's a place called Goloka Vrindavan. And if they want to go to Goloka Vrindavan, they have to come to Earth planet here and do what we are doing before they can get an entrance to this spiritual kingdom, Goloka Vrindavan. But the devotees who are chanting the Maha Mantra, who are chanting this glorious holy names of Krishna, this name take them directly to Goloka Vrindavan. Now my question is, the denizens of the Vaikuntha Loka, I thought they were all self-realized souls. So how come that they don't even know that there is a place called Goloka Vrindavan? And that if karma is accrued, or we can attract karma, action and reaction wherever we are, then how can they also, because I know Vaikuntha Loka, there's no preaching going on, nobody preaches. And so why they don't go there directly, but they have to come here before they can go there?
I give you an example that will clear that up. When Krishna was with the gopis, or I'll give you, when Krishna went and fought the Kaliya serpent, the gopis and the villagers thought Krishna might die from this horrible serpent. He was God. They knew he was God, but they thought he might die. So Indra, when he attacked Govardhan Hill, he didn't understand who Krishna was. So Arjuna, when he was with Krishna, he treated him as a friend, not as God. When Krishna showed him the universal form, Arjuna said, "No, please give me back your two-armed form. This is too much for me." When Mother Yasoda looked in Krishna's mouth and saw the entire universe, is too much for me. So if we start seeing God just in awe and reverence, then it doesn't develop the deepest love. So therefore, Krishna's amazing creation is such that even if we're in a spiritual place, we know as much as we need to know to increase our love for Krishna. But it depends on the particular rasa we have. And if our rasa is as Krishna as a friend, and we start seeing Krishna with awe and reverence, we can no longer be his friend. If our rasa is Krishna as a lover, then if we see him as God, we can't do that. If he is as a parent and we see him as God, we can't do that. So we have to see Krishna in a way that's best for our particular relationship. And so it's not that, so Krishna is going to give us the information we need to know to increase our spiritual relationships. But we're not God. And therefore, we don't know everything, and we don't want to know everything. And the few times, like when Krishna revealed the universal form Arjuna or Mother Yasoda or other cases, the great devotee said, no, no, Krishna, not this, not this. It's too much for me. So Krishna gives us what we need to understand him. And the topic of what people on Goloka Vrindavan think or don't think is beyond what I'm comfortable talking about. You know, I can't project that, but I can at least philosophically say that Krishna will reveal it lets us know what we need to know. It's just like when you're in the military. Sometimes you get a secret clearance, and sometimes top secret, and sometimes highest secret clearance. And so the government is letting you know what you need to know to do your job and not more. So similarly, in order to increase our love for Krishna, Krishna is letting us know what we need to know. Because if we just knew everything, it would be too bewildering. That's the best answer I have. I'm sure others will have some answers that would maybe go deeper or more profound. But that's my own understanding of that question. So I hope that helps. I think it's 12:40, and I have to join another Bhaktivedanta Institute seminar shortly. So.
Well, thank you so much, Prabhuji, for the time. Well, you have to go. But I had some issues with Govinda Prabhu's question, some of the questions, because the premise that the liberated souls in Vaikuntha do not even have a clue of what's going on in Goloka Vrindavan, and that in order for such souls to go to Goloka Vrindavan, they have to come back to this rotten earth planet to chant Hare Krishna before they can go back. I don't know where that is coming from.
I don't think that's true. I've never heard that. Yeah. I've never I never read that in Shastra. So I don't necessarily believe that is true. But I would have to get back to Shastra, people who are more knowledgeable about these things than me. But I share with you that my own feeling is that that's not true. We can fall from Vaikuntha, but once we do and we go back, we never fall again. That's what the Shastra says. And there's a great book on this.
I have not read it myself, but I heard it from Bhakti Charo Maharaj.
Well, I would have to hear the exact lecture in which he spoke and see the context of it.
Yeah.
All right.
I would have to dig deeper. And if Bhakti Charo said it, it probably has some validity to it because he's brilliant. Nevertheless, when I hear things like this, I like seeing it in its full context to understand it deeper. So that's my answer. My own understanding is not that. I'm not saying it's not right, but I'm saying without looking at it in context. And if Bhakti Charo Swami was speaking, typically he'd be quoting a piece of Shastra. So I'd want to go back to that Shastra and understand it deeper. And these are the speed bumps on the road to deeper understanding. These are not bad things to ask these questions. It's not bad to have these speed bumps, but I can't really say more about it without digging a lot deeper.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji.
Okay, thank you. Nice to see you all.
Thank you for being here. We're going to humbly request all of you to kindly unmute, and we all chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra to express our
Thank you. I would love that.
His Grace, Brahma-TIRTHA Prabhu. Jai. Hare
Krishna. Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Krishna.
Krishna Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare Hare, Hare
Rama,
Rama, Hare Rama, Rama
Rama,
Rama, Hare Hare.
Vancha
Vanchakapatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya evacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo
I'll say one last
namaha.
comment. Prabhupada used to say about Americans, you are 10 steps from Krishna, facing the right way. And the Indians are 1 step from Krishna, facing the wrong way. I feel that applies to Africa. All the classes I give in Africa, I feel you're just 1 step from Krishna, but facing the right way. Because people just so naturally in Africa understand the deeper concepts. There's just something wonderful. So I'm very happy that you invite me here. It's personally inspiring for me. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
It's an honor to have your association, and it's a very wonderful privilege. All glories to His Grace, Brahma-TIRTHA Prabhu Ki Jai.
Jai. Hare Hare Bol.